This has not been a good year for Australian actress Emily Browning. Sucker Punch and Sleeping Beauty, which both star Browning, are two of the worst films I've seen all year. I was planning to see Sleeping Beauty at Cinema Nova a few months ago, but the opportunity passed me by. Now I'm glad I didn't pay $13 to see it in the cinema, as the erotic drama Sleeping Beauty is, quite simply, an enormous waste of time. The uniquely beautiful Browning stars as Lucy, a young student who must work in several jobs to make ends meet. She responds to an ad in the campus newsletter and becomes part of some sort of unusual prostitution ring. Lucy is drugged into a deep sleep and placed in bed, and her clients are free to do whatever they want with her on one condition: no penetration. Browning's performance in Sleeping Beauty is the best I've seen all year because of how fearless she is. She spends a large portion of the film naked and submits to being pawed over by old men. Some scenes show her being aggressively slobbered upon or thrown about like a rag doll. Like Amira Kassar in Anatomy of Hell, Sleeping Beauty invites the male gaze to make a point. In feminist theory, the unwanted male gaze reduces the bodies of women to objects that exist for male pleasure. Early on in the film, Sleeping Beauty feels kinda like a sleazier version of Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, as Lucy and several other women are paraded about in absurdly revealing lingerie. This sequence illustrates the unbalanced power relationship between viewer and viewed in the idea of the male gaze, as these women are subservient to the male dinner guests, both as waitresses and as objects of desire. Later on, Lucy becomes a passive doll fondled by men. Since Lucy is being abused in such a powerless state, the viewer feels guilty for enjoying the sight of her shapely nude body, and will thus be inclined to feel uncomfortable with the objectification of women in general media. Sleeping Beauty is a valid response to the objectification of women, but at the risk of sounding like a massive perv, here's the problem: it's not fun. Men enjoy looking at attractive women, just as women enjoy looking at hunky men. As Movie Bob from The Escapist pointed out, the appreciation of aesthetic beauty is not automatically the same as objectification. You could argue that presenting a woman in an attractive way is objectification on some level, but the so-called male gaze can admire the sexiness of a woman without depersonalizing her. Women are often objectified in the media, and Sleeping Beauty is an allegory for how demeaning the male gaze can be, but there is nothing satisfying in the way this film develops this concept. I don't mean satisfying in a voyeuristic way. Showing sexy women on screen in a respectful, non-exploitative way is fun. Showing that objectification is wrong, which is something I already knew, is welcome but not enjoyable. Frightening, stressful, or even soul-crushingly depressing movies can still be enjoyable, as they make you feel deeply and reinforce your own good experiences. But Sleeping Beauty is, despite its fairly dark content, a 100-minute void. The film has a couple of useless metaphors, and Lucy's weird, awkward friendship with a guy called Birdman goes absolutely nowhere. Lucy is pretty blasé about her numerous jobs, and we only get one scene establishing her money woes. Therefore, the conflict is almost non-existent. The only tension comes from whether the clients will break the rules and harm Lucy in the bedroom scenes. Since the dull, drawn-out segments between the bedroom scenes don't develop Lucy beyond a polite university student who needs money, we can only emotionally invest ourselves in her situation on a very general level. It's harder to care about a character when you don't know her. No woman should ever be sexually abused, so the prostitution scenes are disturbing, but basic moral outrage focused around a person I don't know is, once again, not satisfying. Sleeping Beauty is the only arthouse movie I saw in the cinemas this year, and it's a bad one. The cinematography is beautiful, and the performances are quite good, especially from the very brave Emily Browning, but the film just isn't entertaining, and it's engaging in the most half-assed, insubstantial way. Upsetting scenes are not enough when the sequences bridging them are so dull, and the conflict and characterization are barely there. Sleeping Beauty, the directorial debut of Julia Leigh, earns 2 stars out of 5.
It stinks!
Thanks for watching. Cheers.
I am the architect.